Welcome everybody to the Dearborn Heights Library webinar series. These programs are live and often recorded for viewing later. The Dearborn Heights Libraries is a department of the city of Dearborn Heights, Michigan. Upcoming virtual events will be on Tuesday, June 9th at 7 p.m. Pop cultural historian Greg Turner will be talking about and showing you classic paperback book covers from the 40s and 50s. He will be presenting such artists as Robert McGuire, Robert McGinnis, and Ron Lesser. Then on Tuesday, June 16th at 7 p.m., Kate Sod will be showing you how to tidy up using the KonMari method. This method will not only be beneficial at keeping your home tidy, but it will help you with your mental well-being. On Monday, July 13th at 7 p.m., Mike Gardner will be back to present the basics of how to do Microsoft Excel. Attending this program, participants will learn how to create a family tree and to do a personal budget. On Thursday, July 16th at 7 p.m., we will be presenting the iPhone side of Library Director Mike McCaffrey will be showing you all the features of the iPhone, including how to text and download apps. To find out more about these events and other, go to our website, dhcl.michlibrary.org. Tonight, however, we present Mike Gardner, who will be helping viewers with better ways to use the Android phone. Take it away, Mike.
Okay. Well, I guess the first question is, do people have specific questions, or do you just want me to start general and we can go as we go? Okay, no reactions, so I'm assuming general will be a good start. You can always break in with a question if you like. So, okay. So, I'm going to start with some really basics, and let me see if I can adjust the view here just a bit. Okay, yeah. Not gonna work that well. Let's do this and whoa. Okay. Typical Android framing in that power buttons on Androids are most often in one of the three positions marked out by the red squares. However, some even have them on the back as a funny kind of rocker switch. Volume controls are most often opposite the power switch, but sometimes they're on the same side. The way to tell the difference is the power switch is usually oscillated a little bit. The up and down volumes are right next to each other. So, and you know what? I didn't prep for this properly in this medium, so it's going to be a bit of an issue, but I'll adapt as well as I can. Okay, to turn on an Android phone or tablet, you hold the power button down for 3 to 5 seconds. As soon as the screen lights up or the thing vibrates, you can let go of the button. To shut them off, generally, you just hold in the power button for a few seconds till a prompt comes up asking you what you want to do. The precise sequence will vary based on who makes the phone, but most often you'll be given a choice of power off or reboot. So you can pick whichever one suits what you need to do at the time the best. So, scrolling down. Basic Wi-Fi settings for connecting to Wi-Fi, which you generally want to do to conserve your data plan. Usually you'll have the settings icon which is almost always some variety of gear. There are several art styles, so it won't look exactly like this on most phones, but generally it will be some kind of gear themed icon. And just kind of using electronic device, old mechanical icon. It will bring up the settings will come up with several things. You may have to scroll up or down to find the thing, but you want to select the network and internet, or it might say connectivity. One of the things about Android is that the basic operating system is free from Google, so a lot of the manufacturers use their own stuff for it. And as a result, they tend to tweak the settings. So most of what I'm showing you here is good in general terms, but the specifics are likely to be different depending on who made your phone. So keep that in mind for everything, that whatever I'm showing you, it may be a little bit different, but generally you'll find it if you aim in that direction. So once you've tapped the networking for Wi-Fi, you can turn it off and on. This is a reversing toggle. Just tap it and it slides and changes. And here are the names of the things that were nearby when I was taking these screenshots. You tap whatever one, either an open one, which will be indicated by an open lock or the lack of a lock, or in some cases over here, locked systems will have a tiny little lock icon over the wedge. So, and if you pick a locked system, it will ask you for a password. So if you've got your own home system, the password can usually be found on the bottom or the back of your adapter device. Here we just picked this one. And if you feel I'm being too elementary, please say something. We can always change gears. And here you get the box that because it's locked, you need a password. You can optionally, on systems that support it, tick this box, which will then allow you to see the password as you type it. Otherwise, it will show up as a series of little bullet points or asterisks or something. If you have a long, complicated password, you probably want to see it. And then you hit connect after you've typed the password, and it should connect and get you on the internet without chewing up your cellular data plan. Screen brightness, again, tap the settings gear, and you'll have to look for it under display. It may be display, it may be screen, and you can adjust the brightness level, which will usually pop up a slider. But again, that's frequently changeable. So now, editing the password and PIN. This is generally something you want to do on your phone if you can. It will lock down the phone for security reasons and not let people just pick it up and use it. So under settings, it will be security and privacy, and or some variation of security. And this lets you do things like change the screen lock, set a fingerprint sensor if your phone supports the use of a fingerprint sensor. And down here, you look for screen lock. Mine was set for a password, but you can just as easily set it for a multi-digit PIN code. Generally, the minimum is 4, and the maximum varies a bit, 8, 12, what have you. If you try to make one too long, the system will let you know. And that's how you can enable security. And then when you go to open up your screen, it will ask you for your PIN code or your password before it will let you do anything. So, good idea. You want to do that unless it really gives you trouble. So now, onto this subject, the Google App Store. This is where you can get all the various apps you might ever need. You can see I have several lurking here already. So this is the Play Store icon. They occasionally change the artwork, but generally something in the rightward pointing triangle with colors will be the theme. And by default, it will tend to come up with popular things that are currently being downloaded by anybody and everybody. So let's see. And while it's on my mind, well, I was looking to see if anybody posted the chat, but I can't see the chat, so we'll just keep going. Like I say, if you've got a question, just unmute and speak up.
We have questions. There's two on the
Okay.
chat.
Okay, for some reason I can't see the chat, so hang on. Here we go, chat. Let me see. And it's not showing me the chat. Okay, well, if somebody can just voice their questions then, or I may have to suspend share. Let me try that. Yeah, I'll bring it back up when we're ready. Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, okay. Well, for Z's question, I don't really know about that one. I've had it happen on occasion, and I've pretty much had to do the same thing. I don't know why that happens. It hasn't happened to me lately, so I don't have a ready-made answer.
What's the question, Mike?
Why are you sometimes booted off your network and not connected anymore? So that shouldn't normally happen unless some wiseacre with a network injection system is injecting packet resets into your data stream. There is a flaw in Wi-Fi logic that allows people with the right equipment to boot everybody off of an access point. So, however, if it's happening to you routinely on your home system, that isn't likely, so I don't really know why that's happening. I can try doing some research for another occasion and see what I can find out, but right now I just don't have an answer for you. And,
Mike, how about I read the questions?
What?
How about if I read the questions to you? Then
that would work as they come up, because yeah, when I'm on sharing the screen, it doesn't show me the chat window.
Oh, okay. Well, Cassandra asked.
So I'll go back to share.
Okay.
And I'm going to scroll back because she had asked a question. I believe somebody asked a question about adjusting to light conditions. So under settings, you would look under display, and the phrase you're looking for would be adaptive brightness, optimizing for available light. Does that address your question?
Will that address outdoors as well as nighttime indoors?
It just works for whatever the available light is. Outdoors, indoors, you set it, it'll react to the light level. However, depending on circumstances, the settings that the manufacturers chose may not be optimal for what you want to do. I'm not sure if there's a way to adjust it any further than adaptive, but generally it will adapt to the ambient light. So if you're outside and it gets dark, the screen will go dimmer.
What's the difference between that and live display?
Live display?
Thanks.
It's probably a combination of the adaptive brightness and that. I would actually have to look that one up because nobody's asked that question before. But you'll notice it says optimize your screen based on time of day and ambient conditions. So it's probably going to factor in light conditions and what time of day it is. So that if it's at night, the system may decide that it can dim things out because while it may be light, you may be inside and don't need quite so much bright to fight a room lamp that's off to the side. Again, that's one I would have to look up, but I'm going to take a note and write that down for the future since it's a perfectly valid question, and if I can't answer it now, I will try to have an answer for the next group. So,
thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, I don't claim to have every base covered, but if you ask questions I can't answer, I'll see if I can find it for the next time around. Okay, so we're good for the moment? All right, let's go back down where I was. And yeah, I'll have to see if I can redo this as PowerPoint. It works better. But anyway, yeah, that's doing the security thing so that, yeah, you always want to use that so that nobody can just pick up your phone at random and start mucking about, making phone calls on your dime, etc. Not that I think you can find a phone plan anymore that actually charges per minute unless you're calling overseas. Anyway, back to the Google Play Store. My apologies, this will take a second. So if you bring up the Google Play Store, it will usually bring up the top 10 stuff that's being downloaded recently. So a lot of people, when I did this, TikTok was becoming big, Disney Plus was pushing their own video service, and of course Instagram and Snapchat, and for some reason Chick-fil-A was popular. But you can also search on other types of things. You can hit the magnifying glass on any of the those types of screens, or on this screen you can just type into the search box, and what that'll do is you can search for whatever you need. In this case, I looked up Walmart as an example. This is the Walmart shopping and information app, so you can do things like find out about daily deals, do they have something in stock, and so on. But there are apps for many things. If you want to delete, and like yeah, there are map apps, there are game apps, there are music player apps. You can just, if you can just browse through the various categories, and you'll find all kinds of stuff. Just pay close attention, because some of them are free, some of them require payment, and some of them have ads and some don't. So you want to read the descriptions carefully. Now, to delete an app that you don't want, well, one which isn't mentioned here, but I may mention it. There are some apps on most phones you will not be allowed to delete. The manufacturer makes them delete proof. But anything that you have installed, you should be able to go back and delete. So you tap the apps thing there, and it should bring up a list like this. Some versions of Android will bring up the last few things you've got, and then there'll be a somewhere down here a link saying all X apps, where X is however many apps you have on your phone. You can delete an item just by highlighting it, and that will bring up the data. It'll give you permissions, data usage, and so on. And you can just hit uninstall. It will ask you if you're sure you want to do this, and the app disappears. So that's one way you can get rid of things. All right, why did it jump so fast?
I have a question.
Oh, certainly.
When you use an app and when you download an app, is it using Wi-Fi or is it using your data?
If you're connected on Wi-Fi, everything except cell phone direct traffic will go by Wi-Fi.
Okay.
If there is a path available, if the connection to the Wi-Fi goes out, it will fall back to your cell data, but there is a limit. So if you're on cell data and try to download an app over a certain size, it will ask you that, this is going to chew up your cell data, are you sure? So that's the default, though. If you're connected to Wi-Fi and the Wi-Fi path is valid, yes, it will come down that way.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, how did we come back here? Okay, I must have done something wrong. Give me a second, we'll get down here. But yeah, that is a good point. You want to be careful about Wi-Fi and so forth. If you're going to be streaming music or video, it's better to be on Wi-Fi if you can. Music will take some data, video will take a lot. Like the Disney Plus app would be one where you definitely want to be on Wi-Fi. Or Netflix, or Amazon Prime Video, or any of that. So... Yep. Sorry, I will work out a better presentation for the future, but we have to learn. Going. All right, email. Now, if you use Gmail and logged into your phone with your Google ID, which is very likely because Android is a Google product, you will have a Gmail icon somewhere. It may be on your home screen or in your apps area, but all Android phones, at least sold in North America, have Gmail with this icon available. And this has its uses in that addressing a question that was arranged prior to the broadcast. If you have Gmail or any other form of email that you've set up on the phone, this is one way to get pictures out of the phone if you can't make any of the other tactics work. You can just email them to yourself. So yeah, if you've so Gmail, this is automatic. If you have Yahoo Mail or another major supplier, there are usually apps for the various big email providers in the Play Store. You just have to go and search on the name of the provider and then look for an app that mentions email. So, sorry, I keep looking over to the right because that's where the names are. Yeah.
Hey, Mike.
Yes, Rob?
Z has a question. Does texting
Yes?
use, I'm sorry, does texting use cell data? If your internet is out, can you still text?
Texting is handled on overhead packets that control the cell system. So if you're just doing actual text, it does not use your data, and even if your internet data is gone and you're in an area with no internet data available, as long as the carrier you're on has an arrangement with your carrier, you can send text. That means specifically text. If you try to attach a picture under that circumstance, it will fail. That address the question?
So are you saying that you can send a picture?
So,
are you saying that you can send a photo using a text message?
well, if you look on your phone's texting app, there will usually be either a plus sign or a paper clip, which indicates you can put an attachment. So if you have an internet connection, the text message will usually, at that point, the text message will likely go over the internet connection. The attachment, which can be a photograph or other kinds of files for that matter, will go over the internet connection, Wi-Fi if you're connected to it, regular internet cell data if you're not. So if you do not attach a picture, that can go purely over cellular data, over the cellular control packets, and doesn't actually use data. Although they used to charge per message. No carrier I'm aware of has done that for over a decade. That makes sense?
Yes, but the plan I have, it's got separate amounts for data, text, and phone calls. So the text messages is separate. So would that would still be Wi-Fi, or would that be the phone plan?
That would be the phone plan. Likely as not, yeah. If you've got that, you're probably on one of the discount resellers with a small name that most people haven't heard of.
Yes.
Although that might also be for some of the
I've
lower
got
end plans for the carrier. But yeah, yes, the track phone is an AT&T prepaid brand usually. So yeah, they will limit it. So yeah, you would have to ask the track phone support to be sure. They may or may not count things like pictures against your message blocks. But yeah, if they say they charge you by message, yeah, you'll still get charged. You'll still get the message ding off your account, but you don't. But just for text, you can do it in an area without internet. It's just that if you don't have internet, that's it. You can do texting because it's handled in the on the control channel that the cell tower uses to talk to the cell phone, because they had text messaging before anybody thought of doing any more data, and so the protocol is like 20-30 years old. So yeah, you can text,
Okay.
but it won't take your data plan. But if you have a specific limit like you've got on your texting, yes, it'll take those out regardless of the internet presence of internet. I know I babbled a bit. I apologize. In any case, yeah, if you use mail supplied by your internet service provider, they may, depending on the big providers, may have an app you can use. The other ones, you can use an ordinary web browser. Here we have Firefox, and you can use that to access your internet mail web page just like you would at home. There are also programs called Mail Client. They'll usually be called Mail or Email, and the interface will vary by phone, so I can't really go into a lot of detail. But if you've got one of those and are not using a web interface, you'll need to get some technical information from your ISP to set it up. Unless somebody has a reason to ask about that now, I'm going to assume this isn't really relevant to anybody and go on to the next feature. Okay. Google Maps. Now, this is Google Maps is useful for navigating. You can locate things and get directions to places and so on. So the maps icon may be hidden in several places, and they may have recently, and they've recently changed it. I need to get a new graphic so that what you actually get on the maps icon is a pin like this, only it's the entire icon and has got multiple colors. So generally, depending on which version you've got, look for something like a this map tack, and that will generally be the Google Maps. And now, by default, the app will come up with a map centered on where you are when you wake it up. It uses GPS and will draw the map around you. In this case, I wanted to get directions to the Carolyn Kennedy Library, so I typed that in here because the screen you'll get will be much like this, except that the top box will be blank. And then I told it to search, and it found it with a little other bits of information. So precisely, the precise look of the screen will change a bit based on your version of Maps, so this is an approximation. And then once you can do that, you can tap the directions. And when I did this, I was at home and I asked it to take me to the library. And it gave me this as an example. So it estimated 23 minutes to drive from where I live up to the library. However, you can also tap different things. It gives you estimates of how long it will take things. Basically, driving and hailing a taxi is pretty much the same timing. It would take 3 hours and 40 minutes by public transit, 4 hours and 6 minutes walking, probably take me longer. And bicycling was probably an hour, but that was off the edge of the screen, and you would normally slide the screen, your finger over that to make that visible. But this is an example of using your phone to navigate. You then, once you've got somewhere you want to go, you can hit start, and it will do relevant questions. Note that if you change which type of transport you're using, it may change the path you're using. For example, if you're going to bicycle or walk, it may not take you on freeways. So, okay, camera. Now, this starts getting complicated because they're all rather different. But depending on who makes your phone, there may be different ways to get the pictures out of the camera and out of the phone and into the computer. The best case is if you plug your phone into your computer with a USB cable and the phone just pops up like a disk drive. You can then just open the pictures file. It will usually be called something like camera or DCIM. DCIM is older usage. Most modern phones will call it camera. And if that's the case, you can just go in, get the pictures, and drag them to your choice of directory. If that doesn't work, you may have to get a manufacturer-supplied photo manager program. And again, as I said earlier, with Gmail or any other email system that runs a website, that uses a web page for access, you can just go into the email, hit the paperclip or the plus sign icon, or hit the attachment button. The magic word is attachment, and then browse onto your phone to where the pictures are, and just attach pictures to a message and mail them to yourself. It isn't very tidy, but it's pretty much guaranteed to work on any phone, no matter how hard the manufacturer tried to obscure that feature. So that's one way that will always work. So, somebody popped up another chat. I saw it hit. Rob, can you tell me what that message said? Okay. Let's see if I can.
It said, how do you get pictures from your phone to your TV if they're on the same Wi-Fi at home, or if you're on the road at a family reunion?
Okay. And that's one that people hadn't asked. So generally, if you have things on Wi-Fi, there's an icon lurking on most phones. Let me see if I can find a screen with that symbol on it. Okay, it doesn't look like I have that symbol, but it's a, well, here. Let me see if I can show you on my actual phone here, because there's a symbol that on most systems means share, and you can, phone call. I'll get to them later. So let me find the pictures and we'll see if that will, because I'll admit, it is a bit on the tricky side to, okay. Now, what we'll do here is, in my case, it's going to argue with me, so I'm going to do as best as I can because it's cutting out. Did a picture of my new van, and at the bottom of the screen over to the right here, you see that three-angled icon? That is what they call share. So if you hit that and hit the three circles linked, you're offering to share things, and you can share it for various things, and you would need to look to see, can it see devices on your network that are capable? Now, since this question hasn't been asked before, I can't go into a great deal of detail. You might need to look it up. One way to do that is that if you have a TV that's capable of this, or another plug-in device that's capable of it, there will usually be directions printed in that manual that will give you an idea of how to make sure that your phone can see the device and share things to it. So this is another one where I'm going to write this down for the next presentation and share pictures.
Thanks. We can see Hoopla movies on a real TV then.
Yeah, there are different ways. It's usually, yeah, most likely the directions are most likely to be in your TV because it will tell you if you want to get pictures or video from your phone. And I know this works because there was somebody I was helping with a computer problem, and she actually showed me doing a screencast from her phone to her TV. So I know it's possible. I just don't know all the details. So, but there's that. Sorry, that's the best I can do right now.
Thanks. Great answer.
I try. Like I say, hopefully next time I'll have a better one. But that's the thing. These things, sometimes I learn more from these sessions than the people I'm supposedly teaching. Okay, swiping. Swiping is for phones that have multiple desktop spaces. For example, generally what you do is you take a spot, you put your finger briefly on an unoccupied spot on your phone, and then drag to the left or right in order to get at another desktop with different icons on it. For example, again, I'll try to show you this, but it's going to be a little tricky. Let me see if I can see. Come on. Ah. You were able to see that? Well, anyway, it was visible. So what is I have multiple screens of icons arranged in a way that seems logical to me, and I can swipe the desktop back and forth to go from screen to screen. And so if your phone is equipped with this is how you would change desktops. So if you're not equipped with it, and that's the thing, if you discover that your screen is getting cluttered with icons, if your phone supports multiple desktops, you can go to other ones, but you'll have to look that up specifically for your phone, because there are 7 or 8 popular ways that I know of that they implement this, and so I can't tell you just where to look for your particular phone. But it's a way of dealing with icon crowding. So, and then here was just a leftover from the Google store. Notification swiping. Now, on my phone, the lock screen will have notifications on it. For example, here I hadn't finished working out. As odd as this seems, I took a snapshot of Android telling me I couldn't take a snapshot. So I was done with that thing. So what I did is I put my finger on it to the left and swiped to the right to make the message go away. You can do that with most messages like this. Some of them you can't, and you'll find out about them because if they won't go away, they'll either snap back or a gear will appear next to them. I think you change some settings, but it's not going to let you get rid of them. So there's that. Killing stuck apps. This gets us back to the thing. You saw the directions about uninstalling an app. Well, there are 2 options you have there. So okay, my fonts are messed up. You do the same thing as if you were going to uninstall the app if you're having trouble but just want to stop it. But instead of hitting uninstall, you just say force stop. The phone will warn you that this may cause unstable behavior and ask if you still want to stop. You can tap OK, yes, or whatever your phone wants to see for a positive answer. So generally, if you have one particular app that's not behaving the way you expect it to, you might have to use the force stop to make it behave. Okay. Now here we get to the obvious, but I'm going to mention it anyway. Making phone calls. So here you would tap your handset icon. This will also vary by manufacturer. They'll use lots and lots of different icons for the handset. And that will bring up normally, sometimes it will just bring up a dial code, a dial pad. Sometimes it will bring up a contact list. can't, again, this is different by manufacturer. If you get a contact list, there'll usually be a small round button or a square one, but it'll have this kind of dial pad pattern on it. You tap that. If it doesn't come up with a dial pad, you tap that and it should bring up your dial pad so you can dial numbers. If you get a contact list, it'll have names in it, and you can just search for the person you want and tap their listing, and then that'll usually bring up their number, and you can tap the phone. So, and that's basic stuff I had done last time. I apologize for it being a bit sparse, but it was originally done as a mixed presentation where we were doing both iOS, that is Apple phones, and Android. So I didn't do too much because we wanted to have time for both. Now, I will give you some general warnings about any phone system. If you're using social media apps like Facebook or so on, don't announce things like you're going on vacation, because that will basically tell any burglars on your social media circle, hey, this is a good time to go rob this person's house, or stuff like that. So generally, if you want to brag on your vacation, wait till you get back. So, but yeah, try not to let people know when you're not going to be home or any of that. And be careful of fishy-looking pop-ups. If you get a pop-up that isn't clearly identified as belonging to one of the apps you've installed, it may be a trap. Consult an expert. And that's what I can think of right off the bat. At this point, if you have questions, I'll be happy to try and answer anything I can figure out real quick. And feedback on whether you think I've done good, bad, or whatever is quite welcome.
I have one, actually I have two questions. One is, I've noticed that when I do use the password to use the phone, I can't answer if a call comes in without having to put the password in. Is there some setting that would remove that so I could automatically answer the phone?
That is an interesting one. Usually, I've always kept my phones locked, and I always, when my phone is locked and it starts ringing,
That's the
answer
partner
button.
up there.
What? Hello?
Mhm.
Okay. When I get a call, even when my phone is locked, the entire screen fills up with a phone call thing, and I can just hit the green button. So I've never encountered that problem.
Okay, well, and then my second question is, on the screen, I would like the time to be in large letters, and it's like a little hard to read little icon on the top. So is that in settings? Is that like wallpaper? What is that where I could change that?
Okay, well, if you're talking a very small thing at the very top, that's what they call the notification bar.
Yeah.
You can, depending on the maker of the phone, there's usually under the screensaver. Are you talking like when the phone is locked and you just pick it up?
Yes.
Okay, that will usually be on the under screen lock or screensaver, and you can tell it if you want the clock to be live, and you can usually adjust the setting within limits. Unfortunately, that's another one of those things that varies heavily by who makes the phone.
Okay.
That's the price that the manufacturers get for the freedom that the customers have to pay, is that they all do things their own way. And on iPhone, there's only one way to do anything because Apple only gives you one way. Android, they're free to mess with it. So the best I can give you is a generic answer, and I apologize for not being able to do better.
Well, I did find that this phone does connect to my laptop, meaning I can take the photos off. So thank you for teaching that. I found that very helpful.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, not all phones will do that, but some do. So the other methods I suggested are useful if you've got one that just doesn't let you do that right off the bat. So.
Question. Is there a way to get ice on your lock screen like you can on an iPad, iPhone?
To get what on your lock screen?
In case of emergency, ice.
That's a
Emergency
good.
contact information.
Okay. Some older phones used to have something called owner info that would put a little link on the screen you could tap to display that. I don't remember seeing that recently, but that's another one of those things. I will look it up since it's a perfectly valid question. Emergency contact on lock screen, and I'll see if I can find that out for the next session. Unless you want to, unless you don't mind if I wander off for a minute and try and do a real fast lookup on the internet. Okay. Yeah.
I'm good.
Okay. Let me do this real quick. The joys of multiple windows you can play with here. Okay. Okay. Okay, there's an application called Contacts that usually looks like either a phone book or a person on a silhouette of a person kind of in a rounded thing, rounded or squared, snubbed, cornered square. And if you go into the Contacts app, at least according to what I found for the standard Google contacts, you can add emergency contact numbers that can be dialed from the screen by tapping the emergency call link. Normally people would use that for 911, but apparently you can also define your own number. However, the drawback is somebody will have to tap the link in order to see if those numbers are available. So you would go into the Contact app and you would go to the menu, either the 3 lines or the 3 dots. And then again, this will vary a bit based on the Contact app, but there should be an entry you can track down for emergency contact and make the edits there.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else? Oh, we appear to have lost somebody. Okay. Well, my apologies for not having all the answers, but I do try, and I'll see what I can do about the other stuff for next time. So I guess, oh, did you have another question?
Great job. Thanks, guys, for doing this. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay, but you're
Yes,
quite welcome.
thank you.
Glad I could help. Okay.
Okay. Well, thank you, Mike, and thank you everyone who attended. Going to... Remember, our digital collection is always open. Go to dhl.mishlibrary.org, where any time of the day or night you can, under electric resources, log into Hoopla, Overdrive, Tumble Books, Ancestry.com, and other great sites. If you have a question, need help, or would like to share your thoughts or comments about tonight's presentation or any other library matters, you can email us at dhreference@gmail.com. That's dhreference@gmail.com. It's all lowercase. And you can stay connected with the Dearborn Heights Library at our website or through Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, and YouTube.
Quick question, Rob.
Yes.
The programs, like the one coming up on the books, is that just for library clients, or can I share that with non-Dearborn Heights people?
Oh, anybody.
Thanks.